Football fans rejoice. The first ever college football championship game will kick off tonight, and the big game between Ohio State University and Oregon is expected to break cable TV records. Rise News sports correspondent Andrew Rosario is here to talk about how college football television is a cash cow for just about everyone involved, except the players.
It really
but we'll get to that in a moment.
Exactly.
Why? So, all right, so let's give a little bit of a history of college football. They never had playoffs before.
Right.
The idea was that the national championship was chosen by basically sports writers in a poll. Why the change?
Well, there was a big outcry because there were teams that had really good records during the regular season, but the strength of schedule wasn't what other people thought it would be. The statistics on an individual basis weren't what they thought it would be. So they decided to condense it and pick the top 4 teams based on strength of schedule, based on statistics, and then they put a committee together of ex-college and pro athletes, athletic directors that would vote the top 4 teams.
In basketball, we know that the NCAA tournament in March is one of the biggest sporting events, money-wise, ratings-wise.
Right.
Does the college side, the football side of college, hope that they could turn that into the same thing here?
Well, they're trying to do that right now. And again, with the way they've turned it into the top 4 teams of the year to play. Now, we don't have the numbers for 2014 yet, but in 2013, over 20 top colleges made over $100 million for that year in 2013. Now, that consisted of media and merchandising. It consisted of ticket sales, and it consisted of boosters donating money. Right, to the
Where do the
institutions.
Universities, by the way, use this money? Does it only go into the athletic program?
No, it goes throughout the whole athletic program, not just basketball, baseball,
and that's
football.
Their defense, isn't it?
Right, exactly. That's their defense.
What has driven sort of this playoff? I mean, is it a money-driven event, do you think, or is it because they really wanted to sort of quote unquote level the playing field and make it more fair?
It's a combination of both. They wanted to make it more fair. They wanted to take out the computer aspect of it because, again, they were just throwing in numbers based on what that individual school did. A lot of the numbers didn't really add up. There were teams that, for instance, for Oregon, for a matter of fact, have a couple of years have gone undefeated but never made it to a championship game because they didn't feel that their strength of schedule gave them that edge.
Because the teams would get invitations to ball games,
right.
Correct? And
Exactly.
there was always controversy about who would get that invitation.
Exactly.
And I imagine there's a lot of money at stake, obviously, for the teams that would get there.
That's exactly
and also
right.
for the players' futures, playing in the Rose Bowl maybe made more of a path to the NFL for some.
Right, and that was the path that they were trying to eliminate in terms of let's make it even. Let's say, all right, let's look at the body of work that particular team did. Just because you had one loss does not automatically eliminate you from going to a championship game.
Does college football right now look better than the NFL in terms of public perception after this year?
I think it does, and I think that the popularity of those 4 games, of the 4 top teams, Alabama, Ohio State, Florida State, and we forgot one, Oregon, right. Everyone was at the general consensus that those were the 4 top teams that should have been in that playoff to see who was the best. And we'll find out tonight.
Do you think that this sort of push to playoffs is now going to, reignite the discussion over paying the players?
In some form, it will. I mean, we're not saying that the players should be paid a salary like the professional players, but they have to be given some kind of stipend in order to supplement, their food when they're not playing, housing if they choose to decide that they don't want to stay on campus. So it's going to have to be looked at. And also there's talk that they may even expand the playoff picture to either 6 or 8 teams in the next couple of years.
And do you think, though, with 30 seconds left, though, now this push to the playoff picture may inject some corruption into it, the same thing that the NFL
there's always going to be some corruption there. There's always going to be institutions that feel that they can go behind the back in order to get the top high school players. But the NCAA is really, really strict in terms of how they conduct themselves. Now, are there issues within that? Of course there are. But for the most part, it's a pretty clean slate for them.
You mean watching the game tonight, Andrew?
Of course.
Okay,
I
thank you so much.
like Oregon State.
Okay, good pick.